Trades. I am your host, Christene Marie. Y'all, I'm grateful for this conversation today because so many folks are silently questioning this and also verbally asking. I've had a lot of folks talk to me about the need for social media, and is this something that contractors should be investing their time into? Even just the other day, I was sitting with a company, and actually this conversation started 2 years ago. I was working with two different companies. One was in ground improvement and one was in the waterproofing space. And I was talking with both teams and emphasizing it is so important that you all start just putting your name out there. And it wasn't actually from the company perspective. I think at this point, most people recognize the value of your social media presence for your company. So much of what constitutes a strong brand is our reputation. It comes down to, how do people feel about us? What do they think about us? What are the actual perceptions of our business when we're not there to correct their understanding, when we're not there to interpret who we are for them? A strong brand sets the expectation around the type of experience you're going to have with the organization, and thus that becomes the reputation, both the expectation and the experience on the other side of it. And so when it comes to our brand presence and thus our reputation, the goal is that we are controlling the narrative in the forefront, before they start experiencing us. And then on the back end, that our customers are the ones who are also helping set the expectation for future experiences, because they have such an amazing time working with us. So a strong brand manages the front end to set the expectation. A strong brand has an incredible and delivers an incredible experience. And then a strong brand also helps the customers tell the story about their experience. That's through Google reviews, and all of that amalgamates into the reputation of your business, the expectation and the experience. And so those things together, working in concert, it's okay. Well, where is that story being told? Where is our reputation housed? It's housed on our website. It's housed on Google Maps. It's housed on our Google profile. It's housed in every single search result. So that could be Yelp, where people are leaving good or bad reviews. It could even be your BBB. Are you certified with the BBB? Have you won awards in the area? And are you actually showing up in the local news for your recent reward or award? And also, it's on your social media. So at this point I think you could say this point in time, with the evolution of the internet, people have really come to understand and see the value of, let's take our reputation and go and manage it and promote it on Facebook, which is where our homeowners are, or on LinkedIn, which is where our other business colleagues are. Y'all, this is now where I want to talk about, okay, so we're all on the same page regarding the value of the business reputation being promoted across different platforms. But what about your personal brand? And we've talked about personal brand a little bit over the last couple of days. You have a personal brand, whether you are cultivating it or not, because your brand is you. No one else has your unique experience in terms of how you've lived, and also people experiencing you in return. People have an expectation of who they're going to encounter with you. Again, going back to what a strong brand is, it's the expectation and it's the experience. The experience that you provide someone and the experience they have with you. And so experience goes both ways, but the expectation, we have so much power over that, in addition to the power we have over the experience. And so this concept of personal brand is very much akin and like to a company brand. And y'all, this is where I really want to dig in here, because we've all agreed it's good and helpful for your business to go and manage and promote its reputation on social media. But what about you doing that, not just for yourself, but what about your business development managers, your salesmen, people who are going out and establishing relationships in the community, establishing relationships with other business professionals who could be referral sources? So the benefit of this, and I'm not saying which platform at all. What I'm talking about is, should you be considering social? So I want to talk about pros and cons. We'll talk about the cons first. One, people can look at social media and it's just like this wild, wild west. I don't even know where to begin. One of someone even on my own team, we pulled up her LinkedIn the other day. She had 3 different LinkedIn accounts and she's not active on any of them. So we were laughing about that. Not every person wants to, much less needs to, I will say, have a social media account. The con is that it takes time. It's that it can feel scary. We don't know where to start. We don't know how to begin. Another con is that a lot of folks are actually nervous about having their personal life out for the public to see. Now, all of that, putting it on the shelf. So let's acknowledge that and put it aside. Now let's look at the pros. One, your personal brand is something that is never and should never, and I'm saying this for the most part, never. We're not being black and white here, but for the most part, your personal brand should never be tied to a single entity. And this is talking to you as the owner and also you as the employee. The reason for that is because you as the owner, what if you want to sell the business? What if you want to add in a new vertical? What if you want to add an additional company to your portfolio? And I'm working on this right now with one of our current clients. We're helping him create social media content where he's no longer siloed to the one business that he co-founded, but now he has this other business that he co-founded. So how do we now let people know about both? So the more we isolate ourselves into a category or into a business company, then we're consistently unable to then go into new verticals, add on new service. It's pigeonholing us. So there's benefit of us thinking in a holistic way in terms of the pros to, I actually want to establish a personal brand rather than just saying, oh, I work for this company. But if I establish who I am, if I establish what I'm interested in, if I establish what my values are, if I establish why I'm doing this industry in general, if I establish even kind of my own personal stories that have gotten me to this point today, all of that, people are establishing a relationship with you, not just the company you work for. Now they're actually divorcing, Christene Marie is with Foundation First and the co-founder of that. It's Christene Marie works in the construction industry. She also does branding and marketing. She also is 4th generation of her family's painting business. Now there's so much more breadth and depth around who I am. And in the depth, we then establish emotional connection. The breadth allows for multi touch points of various industries, various service offerings. And then the depth is where we form a human-to-human connection. Going to our next pro. People do business with people. They want to do business with an individual that they know, that they trust, that they like. And so the more we're allowing for the breadth, which is the first pro, is that by way of us establishing a social media presence, we're able to show the breadth of our interests, the breadth of our passions, breadth of our experience, not just isolated to one company. But then in the second pro, it's the depth. So it's effectively the Y and the X axis. It's allowing for the depth of who you are that allows for the person-to-person connection. People do business with people. And at the end of the day, we saw this take place. So I did this whole case study based on this experience that I had working with Amazon. My team ran the social media for an event. Here's the thing that's interesting. I was looking at their AWS, that was the specific Amazon channel that we were working with. Looking at their LinkedIn, they had 750 million followers at that time. This was a couple of years ago. And then we were looking at the individual executives and their social media following. The most they had was 9,000, 12,000. So decent amount for an individual, but not great compared to 750 million. My theory was, let's test posting from the company profile, and then let's also test posting from 8 to 10 different executives. So I went in, got to know each one of the executives, created content for each one to personalize it, make it sound unique to their voice. What we ended up finding was, it really blew my mind. It was insane. It proved the point that people want to hear from people, not just company profiles. And what we found was that from the page that had 750 million followers, got a decent amount, maybe, I think the most it got was a couple hundred points of engagement, whereas the executives, their posts They actually went viral on LinkedIn and really proved the concept that people want to hear from people who have the story, they've got the background, they've got the personal values. People find themselves in someone else's story, not a company profile. And so the more that we realize, okay, yes, here are the cons of posting on social media. It takes time. It could feel like the wild, wild west. I don't know where to start or how to proceed, where to begin even. That's 100% a con. I understand that. And I hate that. The pros, this is where the pros need to be weighed. The pros allow for the breadth of your business, the breadth of your industry, the breadth of your services, so that you're no longer pigeonholed. Your business is not pigeonholed and you are not pigeonholed. If you want to sell and exit your business, what are you going to do next? If you want to add on and acquire additional businesses, that allows for an opportunity for portfolios to build. And then another pro is it allows for, in addition to the depth or breadth, it allows for depth. Who are you? What are your values? What are your experiences? How can people form connections with who you are? And so by way of taking this storytelling approach on social media, man, there's so much opportunity for business. I had someone reach out to me after 2 years of us not speaking. And what he said to me in his email was, I've been seeing you on LinkedIn. I've been loving your stories. I love where you're going and your mission. I have a job for your family painting business. And now they're a tenured partner. Y'all, people are watching. It is so important that we're actually out there showing up and delivering value. So I was on a call the other day with a CEO and founder of multiple businesses. And he's like, why should I be posting? And, I said, well, to be honest, you're making such a big impact in your isolated arenas, whether it's at church, whether it's in a small, entrepreneurs forum. Now you've got so much to give. If you were to start posting with the intent to serve, with the intent to add value, there's a humility that's actually necessary when we post on social, because ego would come in and say, oh, everyone's going to think you think you're a big shot. And ego actually comes in with these kind of daggers of like, what are people going to think if you start posting? So actually it is the antithesis of ego in so many ways to come in with a servant leader mentality of, and when we start posting on social, how can I give value? How can I serve? Guys, we've got so much to give, so much to add, and real value to offer new startups. I'm even thinking of companies like my dad, who he lived in isolation for many, many years. And so many of us in the trades live in isolation. What if we were to start giving, but also allowing ourselves to receive? And so this is partially why we're having these conversations every day, is because so many of us have something to offer from our experience, from the breadth of our experience and the depth of who we are, that thus it's the craft, the excellence there, and the calling, the why, the values that make us human. And that's really what breeds the connection point on an emotional level. And people want to do business with people. So partnerships come from social media, clients come from social media, employees come from social media. That's another pro. So we've got a lot of reasons why, the reasons keep building up of why it's important. In terms of the actual channel, I will say I've seen people in my shoes who have, a digital marketing agency for tradespeople. They have blown up on TikTok because of all the tradespeople on TikTok consuming content. I've seen people on YouTube where the company themselves, the trades business themselves, have a YouTube profile and they have blown up because they're delivering value. They're talking about how to do waterproofing, how to do roofing, how to do plumbing. There's so much in terms of content to produce that both you can consume and you can give. Again, it's the giving mentality. And it comes down to how much time do you have? What are your priorities? I really have focused on YouTube. That proved to be somewhere that was like, okay, this is actually YouTube and LinkedIn have been the two places that I've really been camping out on. And YouTube, they're not curated videos, they're this. I know I can hop on here and chat with you, but I'm not trying to go and do mass post-production and make it look pretty and sound great on the back end. It's live, real time, having real conversations. That for me is the type of authentic relationships that I want to build with you, rather than trying to curate something perfectly with a formulated, edited video. I don't have bandwidth for that. And I also don't want to spend money that way. So it's where do you actually light up? I light up in creating content and seeing community interaction this way. I don't light up and sitting down with a script, looking at a video camera. And I also, these days I haven't had as much time to write and create organic posts. So it's really a question of what can you commit to? Where are also the people? You're going to find that out too. So if you have the bandwidth to try out a couple different platforms, great. But so many of us, it's a time problem. And I have found that either I've got a car mount for my phone, and I will sometimes record a video while I'm driving. Sometimes I'll go live while I'm driving. And then otherwise, I've got time every single day where I sit down and do these shows. And again, the goal is to serve. And so if we have a heart of service, where are our people? Where can we serve them? And how can we serve them in a way that actually is not stealing from us in terms of our energy, but it's actually giving to us in return because it is blessed to give. And so in this conversation, I want us to be thinking in that regard. Y'all, thank you so much for joining. I promised that these wouldn't go over 15 minutes. I'm at 16 minutes and 3 seconds, so I'm going to hop off. Have a wonderful day. I will see you tomorrow as we talk more about trades in the construction space. See you then.